Right, hello, it's Plant Life Forever 69 and unfortunately I am not very well. However, I've got stuff to do with my plants, so I'm gonna film it and try not to choke on camera. I'm gonna chat to you about and prepare my plants for dormancy. So we're going to be looking mostly at the Venus flytraps today, and the Sarracenia will follow in a separate video. So without further ado, let's jump into the video and I will talk a lot as usual. So as you can see, these are the fly traps. They're still looking pretty good considering that it's late October, mid-October, and they are all beginning to go dormant now. The Switzerland Giant, this one here, still only has 2 traps. 2 very lovely traps, I might add. But I learnt that from the people kindly telling me in my comments that probably isn't growing as well, only got the 2 traps because the sundews in the container are prolific and they're probably suffocating it, so it'll be a good day for the Switzerland Giant. We're going to get him out of the sundew prison. And there's Vlad in the back. Yeah, he's got quite a few black traps, but that is totally normal for this time of year as they start to go dormant. The unstoppable mini Vlad. A few black and yellow traps, but mostly absolutely massive and looks very healthy. Our DCXL at the front, still very small. I'm going to put that down to the kind of shitty dormancy I gave it last year. Okay, back from my coughing fit. So what I'm going to do with my fly traps this year, if you haven't seen my previous videos, last year I took them back to my parents' house and I put them in the shed. Didn't go that well, to be honest. It really didn't go that well. I think basically it just was not getting cold enough in the shed for the amount of light that they were getting. Just basically there's a balance, unless they're going to be in really cold, like fridge-like temperatures, so about 4 degrees C, like the lowest that they really want to be at during dormancy, then you can get away with not having much light. But they were in more like 8 to 10 degrees C, which is really like, should we go dormant? Should we just stay awake all winter? Which is basically, I think, what they ended up doing was coming out of dormancy really early, and I ended up with really weird looking traps. Like, they were very long and just yellow because I'd overwatered them as well, and it just did not go well for me, basically. So learn from my past mistakes, and this time we're going to put them in the fridge. I think for me it's just there was too many variables to control. I didn't have a good enough idea of how to get them to have a good dormancy. I just kind of tried. They survived, they all survived, so I couldn't have done it that badly. Other things that you want to know about dormancy, they basically go dormant around September, October, November time, depending on the climate where you live. So for me in the UK, they probably could have gone at the end of September. I've left it till now because they look good. Like, I like looking at them. And they can stay dormant for 3 to 5 months. You can just put them in the garden if you've got a garden. If you don't let your Venus flytraps go dormant, they'll just get weaker and weaker over time, and eventually they will die. Unfortunate, but it's a fact of life. They're not tropical plants, they are temperate plants, and they need a dormancy period. So, fridge dormancy, basically the temperatures that you want to keep your plants in during dormancy is anywhere from 4 to 8 degrees C. As I said before, if you're going to put them in the fridge at 4 degrees C, then they don't really need any light. But if it's warmer than that, they are still going to want quite a lot of light and less water. But because we're putting them in the fridge at 4 degrees C, we shouldn't need to give them any light whatsoever. So I'm just going to check on them every couple of weeks and make sure that they're not getting mouldy or anything in the fridge. And yeah, let's unpot them. So what I've got in front of me, a bowl with your Vlad. Fungicide, the Provanto Fungus Fighter Plus, which I use on all my carnivorous plants because it doesn't hurt them. Ziploc bags, well they're not Ziploc but bags, rubbing alcohol, which is to sterilise my snippy snips. I've got some sphagnum moss. I literally just ordered this off Amazon and there's surprisingly like a lot of stuff, but yeah, you basically want something that hasn't been treated with any kind of fertiliser or anything. This is the stuff I'm using. I don't think it's got any added stuff in there. I think it's actually for like animals. Normally things like aquarium sand and stuff like that, it's not treated with fertilisers and stuff because it's, why would you fertilise your fish? Moving on. Oh yeah, I've also got a spray bottle that's got some distilled water in, and by my feet I've got a bigger bottle of distilled water and I really need to get some more. Wow, look at those roots. So in case you didn't know, so don't be alarmed, Venus flytrap roots are actually black. So normally when you see black roots you might think, oh my god no, it's rotting, but actually Venus flytrap roots are black. Don't you be alarmed if they're squishy. So we're just gonna squeeze them out. There we go. Here comes Daddy Daddy. Okay, so just like when you've got them up, we're not gonna worry too much about setting off the traps or getting dirt in the nails or anything like that. Ooh, ooh. I'm so sad, but look at them. That's the baby. That's Vlad's little child's rhizome right there. Which we are going to separate from the rest of Vlad. He doesn't want to come out with this. I might have to just tip him out. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, so now you have a bare rooted, well it's not bare rooted yet, but to get your bare rooted plant, just want to gently crumble the soil away from the roots. Oh, look at him. Look at him, you guys. That's our baby. I'm just going to very, very gently try and separate from the main plant. Very gently. Very gently. Oh. Yes. Look, there you go. That, if we focus please. That's our little baby Venus flytrap. Vlad was once this size. Aww. I'm just going to pop him on the top of that pot there while we continue getting the rest of the dirt away from Vlad's roots. This might take a while. He's got a lot of really like... Damn. He is buff. It looks like an onion or something. It's not an educational comment, I just thought it looks like an onion. Okay, so that's most of the stuff off of his roots. And you see, there they are. Nice and strong. Really nice and strong, actually. So, I've got another bowl, which has got just a little bit of distilled water in it that you can't even see because there's not that much in it. Just washing my flytrap's roots. Nothing to see here. Still quite a lot of soil left on there. Don't worry too much about damaging the roots. Especially if there's loads, like Vlad. Sorry, I appreciate you can't actually see what I'm doing. But all I'm doing is washing his roots of all the soil in this bowl of water. There's nothing immensely exciting. You're really not missing out. Okay, I think that's about as much as we're going to manage to get off. You can see those nice healthy roots. And I'm going to do the same to the little baby. Now got bare roots. So the next thing that we're going to do, which I'm probably going to show you on Vlad because he's bigger. The next thing that you're going to want to do is remove any of this black stuff on there. Break off like that. So anything that's dead, dying, ugly, you don't want it anymore, whatever. This is also a good time if you wanted to multiply your fly traps. This is when you would just cut the rhizome. You can see the little segments. That's when you can multiply fly traps like this. Okay, looks like that whole bit there has rotted. So what we're going to do, you might come across some parts of the fly trap, like this bit here is quite rotten. You're going to want to get a clean pair of shears and snip it off. Snip off the dead bits as close as you can to the base. So you don't want any of that. Once you've bare rooted your plant, you're next going to want to give it a spray with some fungicide. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm literally just going to hold him up. Just give him a couple of sprays. That's all they need, just 2-3 sprays. We'll just set him to the side again. It's recommended that you actually do this in a ventilated area, so don't take risks like me, kids. Now that you've unpotted them, you've cleaned as much soil as you possibly can from the roots, and you've sprayed them with fungicide, you're next going to want to wrap it in sphagnum moss. There are multiple ways to do the fridge dormancy. Some people like to lay them in vermiculite and wet the vermiculite so that retains moisture really well. I personally thought it would be better to use sphagnum moss. I'm going to use a spray bottle because I think it's going to be easier to moisten the sphagnum moss using a spray bottle than it would be to just soak it, because you don't want the sphagnum to be sopping wet. If you can squeeze water out of it, then it's too much moisture in the sphagnum moss. So just going to grab a decent handful of it. I'm just going to hold it in my hand. I'm going to spray it until I can feel that it's all damp. There, just a test. So there's no water coming out of that. You can see it is damp, but I might just give it a couple more sprays because some of it still feels a little bit dry. There. My hands are really wet now. Yeah. So I think that's a good kind of, what's the word? Wetness? That's a good, yeah, you know what I mean. Cool, so now that we've got some sphagnum moss that's nice and moist, I'm just going to pop that on my lap for a moment. Take your little Venus flytrap, and we're just going to wrap him. Get the rhizome as well. And we're just going to wrap him in the sphagnum moss. So yes, this is messy, but what can you do? I've also never done this before, so don't hate on my wrapping skills. So yeah, you are going to want to get it around the roots and the rhizome. There we go. Kind of like this. If I let go of him, all of this is probably going to come off. And that's okay, because now he's going to go into the bag. Yeah, so there we go. Bye, Vladdy. I miss you. And there he is in the bag. It's recommended that you push as much of the air out of the bag as possible, and that's to stop the possibility of mould. But I'm not going to push all of the air out because I feel like you should have something in there. So yeah, there is still air in the bag, but I pushed most of it out, and the rest I can just hold him like this. And there you go. He's ready to go into the fridge. Well, that's everything for the video today, guys. It made me feel so much better just to chat to you and do some plant chores. I'd also like to say a massive thank you for 100 subscribers. I managed to catch a screenshot of it, so I'll put that in. But thank you so much. I never thought that there would be 100 people in the world that wanted to watch me ramble about plants for like 10 to 20 minutes. So thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed and to everyone who just simply watches. So yeah, that's the end of the video, okay? I hope you have a lovely day. Oh, no, that's not how I do my outro. I hope you have a lovely day. Okay, thanks. Goodbye.